Well, hello and welcome to the Mindset Mentor. I'm Tania Kolar, helping you live your best life. And today we're going to talk about what it means to be fearless. Listen, fear is a human emotion, and we're going to have fear. It's going to come up, but it's really a state of mind in terms of how we're going to move forward and forge ahead despite the fear that we're facing. And my special guest on today's show is the one and only, the fabulous Jeanne Beker, who has fearlessly trailblazed ahead, not only in a remarkable career. She's, of course, a Canadian icon, fashion editor, fashion reporter, five-time author. But so she's trailblazed ahead in her career, in her relationships, family challenges. She's a survivor of, family Holocaust. You can imagine the immense fear that would be associated with that, and also just recently forging ahead through challenges with her health. She's experiencing breast cancer, going through treatment as we speak. So, how about we just say hello to the incredible and inspiring Jeanne Beker? Jeanne, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show here today.
Hi, Tanya. Great to see you and hear you. And yeah, really a pleasure to be talking to you and, kind of waving that flag of fearlessness, which is something that is just so crucial to the way we get through the world.
Yes, I love that. It's so great to see you. It's been so inspiring to watch you be so open and vulnerable and sharing your experience. You're truly like an open book, and I think that you are an incredible role model to everybody around you. So, Jeannie, what has really helped you move forward being so fearless with being diagnosed with breast cancer recently? What did that feel like for you?
Well, okay, that's a loaded question. What did it feel like for me is something, we can talk about in a minute, but you're asking me about my mindset of fearlessness and how I got there, about my life in general, because this breast cancer journey is one small leg of my life journey. And we'll definitely talk about that in a minute. I'm a child of Holocaust survivors. You mentioned before that, I was a survivor. No, I'm not a survivor, but my parents survived. My grandparents didn't survive. My aunts and uncles didn't survive, and no one in their families, all of them were just decimated. But when you grow up as the child of survivors and they talk to you incessantly about their survival story and what it took to get them through the war. Wow, you really learn a lot. It's the biggest life lesson you can get. And it really becomes part of your DNA. I mean, my parents didn't have any other family members to talk to. They survived the war together. They came from a tiny little village in eastern Poland, and they were on the run the entire time from the Nazis. So they were like living in underground bunkers and actual like holes in the ground and hiding out in barns and cellars and attics and just constantly on the run, depending on the kindness of strangers to help see them through as the young lovers that they were, just, going for it, just fearlessly. They really told so many stories about their trials and tribulations during that horrifying time in history that I would just, never want to hear it anymore. Because they constantly talked about it. I mean, back in the day, it wasn't, kind of in vogue to go to a therapist. I mean, most people did not want to go to a psychiatrist. They didn't think that, there was a stigma attached to that. So they just talked a lot, amongst themselves. And my sister and I were, bearing witness to all this. We were like the only kids in the house listening to this. And I remember, I was like 5 years old hiding under the bed because I didn't want to hear any more war stories. But, the older I got, the more, I realized that, this was really an incredible window into that world of, of fear and what it takes to survive and get through life. And I kind of adopted my dad's motto as mine. My dad's motto that saw him and my mom through the war. The motto was "Don't be afraid and never give up." So that was part of my mantra, and now continues to be. And especially now, as you mentioned, my breast cancer journey. But of course, I can't be afraid, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm just going to keep on trucking. I mean, it's not always easy to remember everything that we know and even everything that we
Mm-hmm.
believe in, because we get sidetracked, we go down all kinds of dark rabbit holes. But I do feel that I can lift myself out of that because I had such strong role models, such strong, fearless role models. And it affected me even in terms of my career approach. When I went out, boldly as a 16-year-old, because I heard the CBC was having open auditions for some sitcom, and I thought, hey, I want to be an actress. I really want to be on TV. I'm going to go audition for that. No experience. I didn't know what I was doing, but I went boldly. Or when I moved to New York when I was 19, didn't know anyone in New York, but I wanted to go to acting school there, and just got on a Greyhound bus and went. Or a couple of years later, I went to Paris to study mime because I wanted to be a grand artiste. So, and on and on and on it goes. So yeah, an incredible life lesson, perhaps maybe a series of life lessons surrounding the subject of fear, and just the groove that you've got to get yourself into if you want to move through this world with grace and with courage.
Yes, well, you've certainly moved through with grace and immense courage, and so inspiring to many. And what an incredible story to be in that environment. Having your parents be Holocaust survivors. I can't even imagine what that would feel like, and their struggle. But to move forward in the way that you have, truly honoring your parents, and honoring those who are survivors, and surviving many things in life are the challenges that we have. I mean, we're human beings, right? We are going to have challenges in life. And I think it's important to recognize that we have an ability to be courageous, to move forward courageously, despite the fear, as opposed to being immobilized. So many people are immobilized in life, and fear, listen, has its benefits. It serves a purpose to help us in times that are life-threatening situations like your parents and their family experienced. But so what's happening is that our sympathetic nervous system is activated, right? So it's that fight or flight mode. But what happens when we become so fearful in our everyday life, in just reaching for our desires, the career that we want, the relationship that we want, the dream life that we want, we can become so fearful that we don't take any action, and it's impossible to live our best life when we don't actually move forward. So I think it's incredible to see that courage. And as a young 16-year-old, I mean, you were pretty ballsy. You had that courage to get up to move. And I also love that you had mentioned that you were a mime performer, because you are a great communicator. So interesting, because obviously being a mime, it's communicating, but on a completely different level. What was your impetus for becoming a mime? Was there something that really resonated with you in that sort of style?
Well, I just wanted to have that kind of universal communication. So, how wonderful to be able to present yourself on a stage with nothing, with no props. And you didn't have to wear a costume. You could be wearing like a black leotard
Hmm.
and just communicate feelings, concepts, playing with imaginary objects that somehow end up becoming quite real in the mind of the viewer, or certainly in your own mind. It's a very magical kind of art form, and I thought it was a very pure kind of art form,
Hmm.
a very exacting technique, and that was something that I was very adamant about studying, because as a young actress, and I started acting professionally when I was 16, I thought, a lot of people are getting roles because of the shape of their nose or the color of their hair or the sound of their voice. I wanted to really be able to either create the illusion or not create the illusion. It was such an exacting technique. And I just had so much respect for the discipline of mine, because it's very much like ballet training. And being able to study with the masters. I studied with the old man that taught Marcel Marceau,
Oh,
and
wow.
Yann de Crew, the father of modern mime. Like David Bowie studied mime with this guy. It was incredible. So it was a great experience. And for me, it was just about, getting to the heart of the matter, and it was about purity and again, universal communication where language would not be a barrier.
Yes, I think it's so skillful to be able to, touch people in that way, in a nonverbal sense. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. As you started your career in the media world, way back when, the world was a very different place in terms of accessibility in those types of jobs, especially for women at that time. And it's such a competitive industry. So I'd love to talk about your mindset, in forging ahead in your career as you started out.
My mindset is fearless. So when you have that going for you, when you don't like to take no for an answer, you just keep knocking on doors and you think outside the box. And, it's a very involved kind of process to get, your dream job. But it requires, really stepping outside of your own comfort zone. And I didn't have any contacts, I didn't have any inside, connections to the business. I mean, like I say, my parents came here penniless immigrants, and they couldn't even speak, a word of English when they got here. But for me, I always knew I wanted to be on TV. I grew up in the 50s, and 60s, but I was a little kid in the 50s, watching I Love Lucy on TV, and just I used to wish on my birthday cake every year for my own TV show. So that was just something. I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a communicator in that way. So that was something that I knew. And everything I think that you do, in life really adds to your life resume. I took a kind of unconventional route. As I say, I went to start acting professionally when I was, my teens. And then after high school, went to Paris to study acting. And then after that, went to New York to study acting. And then I went to Paris to study mime. And then I ended up moving back to Toronto and going to university too. I never quite finished my degree, although I have 2 honorary doctorates now. So
fantastic! I love it.
But I ended up, knocking. I moved to Newfoundland in 1975 as the only mime artist in the province, and I, again, thought, I'm going to starve really if I just do this for a living. I thought I'm too much of a fan of material goods. Like I really wanted to start making some money. And I thought, what can I do besides mime? And I went to the CBC and asked them if they maybe needed someone to report on the arts, because I'd studied, theater for so long, and I'd been exposed to so many of the arts growing up. And it just so happened they were starting a new show, and they said, well, okay, yeah, maybe that could be an interesting idea. It's a consumer show, but maybe we'll have you report on the arts. We'll try it. We'll do it from a consumer's point of view. Like, is it worth it to spend $5 on that, movie ticket, or is it worth it to buy that album for $10? So I ended up doing this fabulous gig with the CBC for 3 years, where I was reporting on the arts, interviewing artists. I ended up producing arts documentaries for the network. And now, CBC is so much about arts reporting, but in those days it wasn't, especially in Newfoundland, but there was a very strong artistic community. So I did that. And then I moved back to Toronto in 1978, and I knocked on every radio station door and called incessantly. 1050 Chum was the station I really wanted to work at, because that's how I grew up, listening to that great, top 40 station under the covers and having a crush on all the BJs. So finally, because I was armed with all these tapes and had all this experience, because I got experience in the smaller market, Newfoundland, St. John's, Newfoundland, I got hired to work at Chum. And serendipitously, that was the year, 1978, that Chum bought City TV. Mm-hmm. So by 1979, they decided to cross-promote their radio personalities onto TV. And they took me and JD Roberts, now John Roberts of Fox News. JD and I went over to host a show called The New Music, which was totally groundbreaking. I mean, it was produced by a brilliant, genius guy by the name of John Martin, rest in peace. He's no longer with us, but he was just, all about irreverence and, just rock and roll in your face, smash and grab TV. And that was such a great training ground too. And of course, working, for Moses Neimer,
Mm-hmm.
total media genius, was quite an education. And I did that show, and then we launched Much Music, and they had me doing the news, entertainment reporting on City Pulse News, for many years too. And I did a show called Movie Television and Media Television. And then we launched Fashion Television in 1985, and that went for 27 years. So, yeah.
Incredible. I love it. I love it. I love how, you sort of reinvented yourself and you found those opportunities and you really spearheaded and you were part of the onset of that. And I remember New Music and Much Music, and man, it was like so much fun and it was so different in the day. And it's something that has really, changed how television is today. So incredible work, that you've done for that. Now we're going to take a short break here on the Mindset Mentor. We're going to be back with the fabulous Jeanne Beker, who has fearlessly, forged ahead in her career, her relationship, family, and her health as well. So if you want to know how to be fearless, stay tuned. We'll be back with more Jeanne Beker after the break. And welcome back to the Mindset Mentor. I'm Tania Kolar, helping you cultivate the right mindset to reach for your dreams, because yes, you can do it. And my guest today is Canadian icon Jeanne Beker, who's extraordinary. She is such an incredible role model in terms of, going for your dreams, going after what you want. And I love her story of not only an incredible career, a remarkable career. She's spearheaded so many different things, reinvented herself, and also finding love again at the age of 63. Jeanne, it is such a pleasure having you here on the Mindset Mentor today. And how's the love life going at
Good,
70? Now at
good. Oh, well,
70.
wait about that. So I'm very blessed. I have a wonderful partner. We've been together for 7 years, and it's
Hmm.
been a great joy. Finally, the right one came along. I mean, I've been married twice before, and
Hmm.
they were great relationships for what they were at the time, whatever. But we grow, in our lives sometimes, and
Hmm.
sadly, sometimes people grow apart. And I was involved in a series of relationships over the years, of course, after my second marriage broke up in the late 90s. Um, and with some wonderful people. But I guess having a relationship at that time was never my priority. I was concentrating on raising my girls as a single mom. That was like a big deal. My
Hmm.
girls, everything to me. Well, no, I should say everything. There are things that still matter, but they sure are a lot. I'd be lost without them. I absolutely adore my girls. But I didn't make, having a relationship my priority at that time. But um, when I turned 63, my mom had just died. And my mom was another, incredibly important person in my life. And,
Hmm.
we spent a lot of time together. We were very, very close. She was a tremendous, tremendous woman, lived, bless her, till she was 94. But, then she passed. And I was very sad about that, but I realized, I knew that more than anything, she wanted me to find somebody, because she was always saying, it's not good to be alone. My dad died when, she was still in her 60s, and she never really got over that. That was
Wow.
quite sad.
Hmm.
So I, knew in my heart of hearts that I wanted a partner too, but I just never really had time, it seemed, to devote to that
Yeah.
kind of relationship, because I was so busy with my fabulous career. And of course, as I say, as the girls were growing up, and I wanted to be there for them as much as I could when I
Hmm.
wasn't globetrotting. And I was busy with my mom. But anyway, when my mom passed and my girls had, kind of taken off, I was the empty nester living alone in my big house with my big dog. And I thought, sure would like to find someone. But I also realized at that time, but if I don't, I'm not going to get depressed about it. And I'm not going to
Hmm.
wallow in that kind of loneliness. I have the mindset of, I have this fabulous life. I've been very blessed. It's a great, exciting life. All these opportunities. I'm going to just enjoy it, because nobody knows how long they have. And so I was resolved to just, be happy about my situation, and certainly with myself, even though I was, very sad that my mom was no longer with me. But sure enough,
Hmm.
2 weeks after she passed, I went to an event at the McMichael Gallery.
Hmm.
a great Canadian art gallery outside of Toronto in Kleinburg, Ontario. And it was always my mom's favorite place. I didn't want to go to this gala this particular night because I just lost my mom 2 weeks ago. And I thought, if I have to put on a little black dress again and go to this thing without a date, like that's not going to be cool. I really didn't want to go. But my best friend, Penny, who's we've been besties since we were 11, said, oh, come on, your mom loved that gallery. We should go support it. Let's hire a limo and drive out there. It'd be great fun. So we did. And the minute we got there, Penny started running around and schmoozing and doing her thing. And I was sitting, in the corner, nursing my martini or whatever. And I saw this really cute guy walking back and forth, kind of checking me out. A guy with like a silver fox kind of guy,
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
beautiful silver hair with a little goatee, beautiful gray suit. And all of a sudden, he makes a beeline towards me. And he goes, hi, I just want to introduce myself. My name's Ian McInnes, and I'm on the foundation board of the Michael Gallery. And I want to congratulate you for always having kept yourself so relevant.
Oh.
That's the thing you can say to a woman of a certain age. It's all we really care about. I mean, I don't know, for me anyway, I just want to be relevant, right? Don't we?
Yeah.
But this is a guy that's going to understand why I dance as fast as I can, and why I just always give it my all, and why I'm passionate about my work, and why I think it's just important to be engaged and engaging. And by the end of the night, we were like, stuck together. I mean, it was just fabulous. It was love at first sight, no question. Our energy was just totally matched.
Electric. Yes.
And that night he asked me if I'd go to Scotland with them. And it was like, yes, of course I'll go, because he's originally from Scotland. And I went 2 weeks later, went to Scotland, met his family. Anyway, just a great beginning, and the romance continues. So
That's so beautiful and inspiring for all of those out there who are single like me. Absolutely. I'm staying hopeful. And I think the important thing is to be open to a relationship, right? So I know that you said you were happy in your career, which is phenomenal. A lot of people listening out there, exactly. It's like they're happy in their career, but they're closed off to meeting that person. So to have a willingness and an intention to be okay.
Yeah, but it's like you see, Tanya, you're talking a lot about fear,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, say, this is what holds people back in love relationships too.
Yeah.
Very often. I mean, yes, you need to be cautious. You don't want to just throw yourself into the fire, but you do have to let the walls down, or you just have to let people in sometimes, or you will remain alone for the rest of your life, which some people don't mind, or that's okay if that's what you want. But if you really want a relationship, you just got to, be fearless about opening up.
Yeah. Oh my God. So well said. It's so true because, when people have been in a relationship that did not serve them well, or, it sort of wrote out that timeline of when it was working and it no longer worked, or it was a really destructive relationship, fear takes over and you just say, I don't want that. And you fight so hard. But I think that, what we resist persists. And if we are just stuck in that negativity, we're going to continue to just stay in that. So it's so important to recognize that there's 7.8 billion people on this planet. We're not meant to live life alone, and I think the pandemic has shown us that we need connection with people. And I think that's part of human nature, is to be connected, and so we want to open up. And I love that your mother was instrumental in orchestrating this connection between Ian and yourself. Ironic that you met him at her favorite art gallery. She always
no
pushed for you.
My mom sent him to me. There's
Yeah.
absolutely, let's just get that straight. That's all my mom prayed for, that I would find someone, that she wanted that for me more than anything, and she said, can't you find, and Mom, it's not that easy, and someone like me, I'm not going to go online. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. I just felt, they'll probably recognize me and go, oh yeah, that chick from the new music. So anyway, that wouldn't work for me. And I thought, how am I going to meet someone? I certainly do meet a lot of people because I am out there a lot, but meet just the right someone. At any rate, 2 weeks after my mom left, she arranged for this guy.
She had your back. I love it. I love it. So yeah, totally. So what is your I was going to say expectation, but that's a bad word. What is your hope for your girls, moving forward in relationships? Would you like to see
Oh,
them?
I don't like to
Yeah,
talk. No, that's one thing I will not talk about. My girls and their relationships, and
that's
that's
their
their
thing. That's their
business.
thing. Got it.
Very no, no. I respect my girls are incredible human beings. They're
Yeah.
very loving. Uh, they're just of course every mom thinks their kids are the best, but my girls are pretty special. They're amazing artists,
Hmm.
and they the paths they've chosen have been very much their own decisions. They
Beautiful.
are their own trailblazers. They do not follow in my footsteps. And I think that's the worst thing that we do to our kids when we try to have them live up to our expectations,
Hmm.
when we try to give them advice because this is the way, it happened for me and this is the way it should happen for you. It's a very different world today than it was, when I was their age and I was
Hmm.
growing up. So I don't have any, expectations. I don't have any, I can't, I just hopes, one hope that they're happy. End of.
Love it. Yeah, full stop, right? And I think that's great because, I think too many people live a life of comparing themselves, and then that's where we lose our authenticity, right? So to be doing what you love that feels good, that feels authentic, I think that's the goal for everybody. And so many people also get stuck into a job, a career that they don't love. So I love to see that you have been able to, orchestrate a life that felt very authentic to you, that is authentic to you, and move forward in a way that's empowering. So such an inspiration and a role model in that regard. So as we have just a little bit of time left, I would just love to again talk about some of the challenges that you've been facing, going through health challenges at this age and time in your life. And obviously, I would imagine that to hear the words that you have cancer would have come as a shock in your life. And how did that resonate with the people around you? And did you have a support system? And do you have a support system around you?
Well, I have my Ian and I
Mm-hmm.
have my daughters. My sister's in LA. I have a multitude fabulous girlfriends. So of
Mm-hmm.
course I have a support system in that way. I have a rock star doctors at Princess Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
I just met my the radiologist today, who's just wow, she was fabulous. My surgeon, my oncologist, that they're just so great. Even the nurses there. When I go for my chemo treatments, I only have two more to go. So that's great. Then I'll have surgery.
Yay! Mm-hmm.
I've still got a journey ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one leg of the journey is almost over, the chemotherapy, because that's the treatment order that I opted for. But I'll still have, surgery this fall, and I'll still have to go through radiation, and and then I'll be on a drug called Herceptin for sort of the duration of the year since I started the treatment, so until June.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so far so good. It's been manageable. I have an incredible support from all my followers, my dear followers on social media
Yes.
have been so wonderful, like so wonderful. And even if they just drop an emoji or they tell me the story of their life, sometimes it's long comments. It's just great because I just love them all. I love hearing from them all. They're all so positive. We're all telling each other, we've got this. And who could ask for more? It's been really one of the silver linings of this journey, really finding the love. And I've put a lot of energy out there over the years in my career
Mm-hmm.
and tried to touch people in many different ways. And I just feel it's all coming back to me now in spades. And it's just been incredibly uplifting and very inspiring.
Oh, so beautiful. I absolutely love that. It is lovely to see that outpouring, from people and even strangers, right? Some fans. And I think it's encouraging to also for the people listening and who are watching the video that, you're not doing this alone. So reach out, get the support, get the help that you need. Sometimes we want to keep everything inside. And I love that you have been so vocal because others can see the benefit of that. And it helps to release some of the tension in the body. Of course, when we don't share our feelings, emotions get trapped in the body, which leads to more stress, which leads to dis-ease in the body, which causes a lot of the illness, right? So it's important to really to foster what we can in our own lives to uplift ourselves, to make us feel better, no matter what it is. Change your vibration, change your state, work on your mindset. Because if you think about it, you want to think about your mindset like a muscle that needs to be strengthened and conditioned. So we want to work at it so that we can really truly reach out and grab that life that we want, grab what's going to feel good to you, and embrace fear. Our challenges are going to show up, but it's how we choose to move forward in the face of those challenges that's going to really impact the quality of your life. So I want to say, Jeannie, thank you so much for being on the Mindset Mentor and being the incredible woman that you are, and really, forging ahead in a way that is graceful and beautiful and is so authentic. And by the way, you look absolutely amazing. I love your energy. You do know you look fabulous. And if I didn't, know that you had cancer, I'd have no idea. First of all, because of your attitude, right? First and foremost, your attitude is incredible. You've always been positive about it, and inspiring others, which I think is a gift. And in our greatest challenges, I know from firsthand experience that our greatest challenges are our biggest gifts and blessings in this life. And I love to see that you got the blessing. You've welcomed it in and you're moving forward in the way that you know how best.
Well, thank you. Wow. Wow. That's very nice of you to say. Yeah, I'm just doing, what I've always done in some ways, and, kind of trying to look at life with the glass, half full. It's funny. My mom, bless her again, she never wanted us to be disappointed. She was always afraid of, that we would be disappointed in life. And she kind of raised my sister and I with this idea of expect the worst and you'll never be disappointed. That was a hard thing to get over.
Oh boy, yeah.
Or worse, okay, true. But in this case, and with this particular journey, you do not want to expect the worst.
Yes.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's like one little lesson that my mom tried to teach me that I sort of,
Yes, exactly. I think I'd rather go with your dad's motto, right? Don't be afraid, never give up. Oh, I love it. All right, everybody, that is a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Tania Kolar, helping you cultivate and live your best life. So inspiring to hear the words of Jeanne Beker, who is, battling and going through breast cancer. I always actually say, I don't like to use the word battling. I say experiencing cancer, because it's going to be the experience of what you make it. And I think that we can all teach other people as to how we want them to perceive our situation as well. Because when you come from it at a point of fear, other people will also react that way. But if you let them know right away, hey, listen, let's get through this together. And, we're just going to put one step foot in front of the other. It's a process and you will get through it. So remember to live your best life, and we'll see you next Thursday at 3 p.m. here on Sauga 960.